Tim, should we tell the listeners how to join the Golfweek Amateur Tour?
Yes, of course. We should probably do it now before we forget, though.
I agree. It's simple. All you need to do is go to amateurgolftour.net, click the Join the Tour button, and pay your local tour's membership.
Thanks, Chris. Membership for 2024 is open, so register today to join the oldest, largest, and best amateur tour in the country.
And remember, this podcast can be found on all the major platforms. So make sure you like, download, and share it with all your friends and family.
Chris, that's a great idea. Now, on to the show.
Tim, welcome back to another episode. I'm glad to be back. Had some great tournaments. How'd it go with you?
We just finished up our member guest. Went really well. Yeah, we'll get into that a little bit later. But it had the most members we've had member guests and most guests. So it went real well.
Nice. That's awesome. And then this episode, guys, we're gonna have two good guests. For all the fathers out there, the father with kids, get ready because you're going to hear this tournament that we're going to put out there. And then we're going to talk about some stand up to cancer opportunities that you can have to help with our cause. Stick with us. Hope you enjoy the episode, and let's get it started.
Let's go. Welcome to the Golfweek Amateur Tour, the podcast. We are your hosts, Tim Newman and Chris Rocha. As the oldest and largest amateur golf tour in the country, we put on individual stroke play golf tournaments that are handicapped by flights in 48 markets across the country. The Golfweek Amateur Tour, where amateurs play like pros. Welcome back, Chris. I hope you had a good 2 weeks.
Yeah, I did. I got to play some good golf in my tournaments. I'm pretty sure we'll talk about that later, but it's been good so far. But
we are going to talk about that later. I'm a little upset with you, and again, we'll talk about it later. But we'll go on from there. But yeah. So, but we've got a
yeah. No,
go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, it's good to be back. I took that 2-3 weeks off, just with scheduling conflicts, but it's good to be back in the saddle.
Yeah, so do we. I just had a tournament this past weekend in Atlanta. We'll talk about that as well. And yeah, that was our member guest, and I'm sure you're interested in finding out how we did, because we had more guests than we ever had. But we'll talk about it later. And we've got a little bit different episode this week. We're going to be talking with Gabe Garcia again from Arizona. He's got his stand up to cancer raffle going on, and want everybody to know about that. But first, we're going to talk with Armand Cimaroli from Golfweek. He's going to talk about a few tournaments, especially the Father's Day tournament that they do. We had the our impromptu father-son challenge a few weeks ago, and that's what kind of prompted this discussion.
Yeah.
So, Armand, welcome to the show.
Well, thanks, guys. Appreciate you having me.
So, why don't you tell us about how the connection with you and Golfweek Amateur Tour actually started?
Sure. So, it's been about 10 or 12 years ago now, and somehow I connected with Dennis McCormick, and we got to working together on putting Golfweek's name onto your tour, his tour, and somehow it took a few months and a few hurdles, but we were able to work everything out, and it's just been a great partnership, really, for Golfweek. We really enjoy having our name out there, and Dennis does a wonderful job, and it's really been, obviously you guys have grown quite a bit over the last couple of years, few years, certainly over the last 12 years, right?
Yeah.
So Dennis and I and Jennifer, we've been pretty good friends, and he and I do one tournament together that you guys know about, is our 4-ball in Myrtle Beach. So we've done that probably 8 or 9 times, different places, but really last 4 or 5 years in Myrtle Beach, pretty steady. So Dennis helps me run it, and really he does all the work, and I take the credit for it, right? But that's what he'd say. But anyway, so no, I think Golfweek really, and we 5 years ago we got bought by Gannett, which is USA Today, and so we went from a really pretty small company to part of a enormous company. They have 260 newspapers around the country, and our reach is a lot more, So that's been a nice for Golfweek, to be honest with you, just to give us a boost of notoriety and keeps us going a little bit. So, and offers some new opportunities too. So it's been fun. But one event that, and I appreciate you guys, I'd like to hear about your father son deal that you were talking about. But the event that Dennis asked me to bring up to you guys is our Father's Day Open. And this year will be our 41st event of the Father's Day Open, if you can believe that.
Wow.
I've been running it probably, 41 times is a lot of anything, right? And I think I've been doing it about 27 times. So I've been at Golfweek 29 years, so I've been around, but it's always kind of my favorite event, because a lot of the same guys come every year. It's just sort of fun to see the guys with their families out there having a good time, and it's very traditional. It's a modified alternating shot, which is a fun format. Actually, I did it recently, and I had never done it myself before, and I was like, hey, this is fun.
Right.
But we play. This year we're going to be at Innisbrook. We do stay. We've never really gone out of Florida in all the 41 years, and so this year we'll be at Innisbrook and June 16th to 18th, and so. We're going to play a Copperhead on Sunday, and on Saturday, we're playing, now it's going to drive, it's going to go out of my head, and I apologize for that, but there's 4 courses there at Innisbrook.
Yeah.
And so, and then Friday we do our annual shootout, which is awful fun. Everybody, alternates down the fairway, but we do it all together. So we have maybe 50, 60 guys going down the fairway. So that's a good way to get things kicked off. And one other thing we're bringing back this year as a tradition, because of COVID, we even were able to get by in 2020, and we did the event surprisingly, but we always have picked an annual golf father of the year. And usually at the luncheon, we honor that person. And we've had, over the 41 years, we've had everybody from Jack Nicklaus. Earl Woods was there one year. I got to have dinner with him.
Nice.
It was kind of cool. But this year we're actually honoring Gary Finau. So he's going to be there. And I haven't watched a Netflix show, but I guess Tony Finau had a good one, good episode there, and I guess his dad was maybe in that as well. So any case, I haven't had a chance to meet him, but he sounds like a really nice guy on the phone, so that'll be fun. So we'll be able to do that at lunch on Saturday after the round.
Yeah, I did watch the Netflix special, and since watching that, Tony's probably become one of my more favorite golfers, just with his story and how family oriented he is. That year, his wife was having some other family struggles. I think he lost a parent, and his whole family traveled with him pretty much all year long. And I just thought that was a great story. So,
yeah, isn't that cool? So I'm, and it's fun. It's a super fun tradition. But like I said, actually last year we honored Mike Kaiser, who's the guy who started Bandon Dunes and Sand Valley and a lot of great properties, right? But unfortunately, he couldn't make it. But it's been 3 years since we've had like a really nice luncheon where everybody's gotten together and we were able to honor Dad. So it should be fun. And honestly, the last few years, I just had a son, believe it or not, and he's 4 now. But now it's like, man, I need to keep this tournament going so I can play with my son one day. I've been watching these these dads and sons for 25 plus years. You know, some of these kids were 10, 12 years old, and then now they're in their almost 40, you know, and so it's kind of wild to see them every year.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like a fun event. You know, I have 2 boys myself, 11 and 8, about to be 8. Geez, and,
Perfect.
Right, they're getting started now. They realize what Dad does on Saturdays every day. It's piquing their interest, but that'd be something fun to do. You know, as they get older, kind of a father-son trip. Leave Mom at home, and we can enjoy ourselves.
But
well, that's up to you. But you can also bring Mom if you want to.
If I take her to Florida, she's going to Disney World, and that's going to be more than the golf trip.
Oh yeah, yeah. Actually, last year we did it at Disney because I thought that would be fun for families and things. But you know, you can get to Disney from Tampa too. So it's no problem.
Right.
So, I saw on the website that it's not just father sons either. It could be daughters. It could be grandparents, grandsons, granddaughters.
It could be any. Yeah, it could be any combo, Tim. Yeah, thanks. It could be any combo, really. I think what we would really like to have is, obviously a dad, but he could play, granddad, and they play with their daughters and stuff. And so you're very family oriented. So it's very wide open.
Yeah, because,
Innisbrook is really nice. I mean, it's got a nice facilities. You guys probably have events there, right?
Yeah, we just had a regional there. I think it was maybe 3 weeks ago. Yeah, and it was almost like right after the PGA stop was there. So it's
so it should be in great shape. Well, they promised me that the tournament, the greens are going to be great. They're not doing any airifying until after our tournament and stuff like that. So the course should be in great shape. And, we play early in the morning, try to get out of there before it gets too hot. And so it'd be great to have. So, and over the years, we've had some of your members play and still do actually in the tournament. So we really appreciate that.
Yeah. So, I looked at the player list this morning, and one name that sticks out is I think is Alligator, and I think his dad's name's Chris. They're from the Hilton Head Tour.
Oh, Chris. Yeah. His it's Chris and his dad. They've played a couple of times, and they have a really fun time. When they come. So
Chris is a fun guy.
Oh yeah, he sure is. So so it's just great, and I appreciate the opportunity to tell your members about it. It's very nice.
Now, where can they find information on this?
Well, you definitely can go to golfweek.com under events, and then pull down under events, and there should be a link there. And then I think Dennis even has it on your tour page, or he might have. He's done that for me in the past, so I sometimes he'll do that.
Yeah, I'll put a link to. I'll put a link to it in the show notes for everybody, so that they have it and they could just go to show notes and click on get information and register right from there.
Great, that would be fantastic.
So, what other tournaments do you have for the rest of the year that you think our members might be interested in?
Well, I think the senior division might have some interest. So we do about 10 or 12, actually 12, senior amateur tour events. Now, I know you guys have a senior division as well. And ours are honestly, we don't really have the flights and the divisions and things, but they're for a little bit of the lower handicap golfers, but they're really competitive and they're good 54-hole events. And you would find those under the events page as well, under Golfweek and then under events. So those, we'd really welcome your guys if they had any interest at all, and they're competitive, usually at very nice golf courses and popular. I mean, we usually sell those out pretty well, 90 players or so. playing threesomes and usually off 1 in 10, that kind of thing. So
Nice.
yeah. And then the other part of my job, and I think Tim and maybe Chris, I just met you, but I run our Golfweek Rater program. So we have about 800 people that rate golf courses for us, and they go around, play golf. They put in their thoughts and their score into our Rater website, and then we produce lists. We do top 100 modern and top 100 classic. Those are our two biggies. And then we actually do top resorts, top golf public courses in each state, top private courses in each state, best resorts, best casino courses. So we've got a lot of different lists that we get to produce out of that. And I run about 30 events for them every year. So those are fun events as well. And those we do kind of all over the world, actually. And then the last thing is, I just came back last week. I told you I was in Napa Valley.
Mm-hmm.
We started a Golfweek wine club. So if you've got any members, let me tell you, it is awesome too. If you have any members that like wine, we have a pretty kind of unique. We have two guys that are master sommeliers, which there's only like 300 in the world or something. And they pick the wine. So it's kind of a higher end wine, and the wine is almost 99%. You can't get it like at the store. It's not stuff that you would be able to get at Total Wine or something like that. So the wine is really good. Yeah. And then it's only been going for about a year. So this was our first event, but we plan on doing 1 or 2 events a year. Where we combine the wine and the golf. And actually, one of the highlights on this last trip, besides, really good courses and amazing wines, like probably better. Trust me, I'm not the wine guy, but I mean, these were some pretty good wine. We had Christy Kerr, actually. She has a winery, and she joined us and poured wine for us and hung out with us at dinner. And so that was kind of really a lot of fun. And she might do some more videos and some things with us to help us and help her with her wine. So it's just kind of a new project, and it's been a lot of fun.
Nice.
So with all that wine, you still made it back home in one piece.
Trust me, I won't be touching wine for quite some time. Yeah, I mean, the people on the trip probably will be, but I think I've had my wine quota for the month.
Well, it's you couple that with the 4-ball and what goes on there. Yeah, that could be enough for anybody.
That 4-ball, that's my beer quota for the month. I promise you that.
No, I mean, you mentioned the rankings. I know I've personally used them when I travel to see top courses that might want to stop and play. So, coming from an amateur, I appreciate those. Yeah,
I'd love to hear that. And sometimes when you guys are picking courses as tour directors or even players, whatever, you could maybe reference those lists in your area and stuff like that. And so yeah, it's good. I appreciate you using that, and it actually is one of the more looked at thing on our website. So it's a good program.
Yeah, and again, like Chris said, I think it's very helpful for us as tour directors. Because I'm just in Atlanta now, but when I was at other places, I would always go and reference that list, to build schedules and market, to our players. So keep it up.
Yeah. All right. Well, happy to do that. I'm glad to hear that.
Well, the only other thing with the Raider thing, we talked about this offline a little bit, is just keep doing the podcast, because I have listened to it. And if you just do it a little bit more regular, I think that would take off for you too.
Yeah, that's good advice. Yeah, I appreciate that. I do need, and I have an advisory board of some people that really are smart in the golf architecture world, and so yeah, I hope I can get that going. I need to, even if it was like every once a month or something, right? I just need to get a schedule going.
Right. Well, Armand, thanks so much for taking some time with us today, and I hope the event goes well. I'm sure it will, and look forward to talking to you again soon.
Yeah, it's really nice of you guys to have me on here. Thanks so much.
No problem. Tim, what a great interview with Armand. Just having, we've talked before, having father-son or even father-child events is something I'm looking forward to, as my kids get older. I know you've done a couple. You even had yours at your event, your impromptu father-son event.
Yeah.
So it's cool to see that there's one at a bigger level. I hope it's a huge success, and I can't wait to get out there one year to play that.
Yeah, and Armand's main job is running these, with Golfweek, is to run these types of events. And I've known him probably eight or 9 years. He's actually come to national championship a few times, and I've run into him at the PGA show in Orlando. And so he pretty much spends his time running these events, and as you know, travels all over the world. We talked about yesterday, offline. But I think this is, the Father's Day event is like you said, probably the favorite one that he does. And we'd encourage all of our members to take a look at it. It is over Father's Day weekend. You're going to be playing at a nice resort at Innisbrook. So please go ahead and check that out.
Let's take a quick break and hear from our sponsor, Srixon.
A great iron set needs more than good looks. It's got to be fast and got to be pure. But good looks never hurt either. The all-new ZX Mark II irons from Srixon.
Yeah, it's going to be a great course to play at. And then alternate shot, like you said, the modified alternate shot will make it fun for both players on that team.
Exactly.
Cool. So our next guest, he is, like you've mentioned before, going to be a trivia question one year, or eventually. Well-known guest on our show, Mr. Gabe Garcia, Arizona director. Welcome to the show, Gabe.
Glad to have you. Glad to be back on. I was listening on that father-son stuff, and my daughter just started playing last year, so definitely interested in finding that information and getting us out there. Got to represent the women out there as well.
Yeah, that's great. I'm glad you mentioned daughters, because like we talked about with Armand, it's open to anybody: fathers, sons, daughters, grandfathers, and sons and daughters. So it's really an inclusive event, but celebrating fathers and introducing their kids to the game of golf.
Yeah, I think that's fantastic.
So you've got your Stand Up to Cancer raffle that's going to be started here soon. Why don't you fill everybody in on what you're doing and what you want us as directors and members to be doing and looking for?
Sure, absolutely. So, last year was one of the first years where we really, really made a huge effort to increase what we were doing and trying to get the word out with Stand Up to Cancer and raise as much money as we could. And last year in the calendar or in the tournament season, we raised just under $8,000. This year, we're hoping to go, to that and beyond. And so what we're doing, like we did last year, is we're going to have a Stand Up to Cancer auction that's going to run for about 2.5 weeks. It's an online auction. But what we're trying to do this year that's a little bit different is we're going to be sending information out to the directors of the Golfweek Amateur Tours and Senior Tours in the hope that they might willing to be, to reach out to maybe some of their local courses, local businesses to help us to create packages that we bring to the auction. Things like, twosomes, foursomes, stay and play packages, different things like that. The reason that we're trying to do that is if anyone's ever done, one of these online auctions before, the packages that come in the auction are created by the company that does them. But, and so what we have to do is they've got to obviously take their cut in what maybe they paid for packages and different things like that. Any packages that we're able to add to the auction ourselves, we're able to get more of the funds, other than processing fees, all of the funds that are generated by those packages. And so it's an effort to try to create more of a national Stand Up to Cancer online auction than just a local Arizona one, with the hope that, if we get, packages maybe from Chicago or El Paso or California or wherever it may be, that we can share the information about, hey, the help that we got from, Don Reisner in California or Chris, Chris or Tim in their local areas. They helped contribute, $300 to this or $500 to that in the hopes of making it more inclusive so that all of the players from all over the country will be involved with this so that we can try to raise together as much money as we possibly can this year.
Yeah, I remember last year you had some pretty big packages up there, traveling to some big courses. I would assume we'd have some of the same coming this year.
Oh yeah, if you when we send the link out, you'll be able to take a look at those packages. But it's not just packages in some of the better known courses around the country, but there are stay and play packages in Mexico and trips to Europe and different things like that that are part of it. So it's not limited to just a few golf packages. There's spa and resort retreats and just anything and everything you could ask for. And sports memorabilia and all of that. And like I said, the idea is to try to get just a more inclusive, I guess not attraction, but have more people involved all around the country so that we're reaching a bigger and broader audience. You guys know when we're trying to recruit or do regional championships or whatever, the more people that we can reach out to, the bigger impact we're going to have. And so that's the primary goal with the change in what we're trying to do this year. But no, we definitely have some great golf packages, but there's a whole lot more than that. So,
yeah, and you the actual raffle is going to be in July.
Yeah. So what we're trying to do right now, and like I said, we're going to be reaching out to try to get some help on those packages. But the auction itself is going to start on June the 23rd, and it's going to run through our Tin Cup Major Championship event, which is on July 8th and 9th. The auction itself is going to end on July 9th, so that when we send out the tournament results of the event on, that Tuesday following night, which I guess is probably the 11th, we'll be able to share the results of how much we raised, where all of the funds came from. The goal this year is to try to get somewhere between $15,000 and $25,000 that we earn, not just overall sales, but that we earn just on that auction itself. So again, auction is going to start on June 23rd. It's going to run through July 9th.
Well, that's exciting, and I'm glad that you had this idea, especially reaching out to tour directors across the country to help and see if we can get things donated to make this like you said, more of a national type of push than just an individual tour type push. And I think you're going to have a good result from tour directors across the country and hopefully get some good packages and some good courses, from around the country to get donated for this.
Absolutely.
Now, Gabe, let's, if you don't mind, if we can switch gears a little bit. I know we were talking off air about, last episode we talked about the handicap committee and things like that, and we know that you're part of that.
Yep.
How we've only been doing this this is our second season doing this, but how do you feel it's either evolved, us looking at handicaps, or how the situations may come up, while tournaments are being played, as far as if there's a question about a possible disqualification or things like that?
So, if we've talked about this, like you mentioned, we talked about this before, and it was kind of born out of a couple of big instances, one at my regional championship and a couple of others where, as directors, we kind of felt like our hands were tied a little bit as far as, hey, we're going by a solid number. And I get that. There's got to be, I don't care if you're running flighted tournaments, there's got to be a cutoff somewhere. But, when we, as a few directors raised a couple of questions about, is there a way that we can work together to kind of create something that isn't just tied specifically to a number, but have a little bit more of I guess, a window to be able to look at a player's history, look at, their participation and their scoring history and all of those different things, so that we could create an environment where, we're amateurs, but we've all have had that one day. My lowest round ever is a 73, and I just moved up recently to the A flight, but as a longtime B flight player, that would absolutely have been, a disqualification. And, the reality of it was 2 days after that, I went out and shot an 89. Those rounds just happen. And so what started last year was a group of the directors, along with the national director, Dennis McCormick, being able to, in real time, see what was going on the golf course and be able to contact other directors that could help evaluate the situation, take the time, because as a director running an event, it's nearly impossible to stop everything that you're doing to look up a scoring history and, share that information with, other guys. So when you have a committee of guys that we can reach out to and say, hey, this is what's going on in the sea flight this weekend. Can you please take a look at the scoring history? And in real time, we have 5 directors plus the national director pulling up scoring histories, figuring out the slope and rating for that particular course, looking at not just a specific number, but the extenuating circumstances of who that player is, what their usual playing level is. And so that if they're having that one really, really good day, we at least have an avenue to where we're not being overly punitive, but we're still trying to be fair to the field. And, we had an experience, an issue here in Arizona just a few weeks ago. And, we were able to walk our guys through the process, explain in detail. And most of our guys have been around for a little bit, so they were able to understand it. But what this has really done, in my opinion, is it's made the players more aware of what our policies are and how it works. And the one thing I would strongly encourage all directors to do is just every once in a while reinforce to their players on a random email or a tournament result or whatever they do, to have all of their players read the player's manual. Because when players take a look at that player's manual and see about the flight movement, see about how we do the tiebreakers and all of those other things, the more informed they are, the easier it is for them to understand what's happening in a situation where the index committee comes into play and a possible disqualification is in play.
Let's take a quick break and hear from our sponsor, Srixon.
ZX Mark II drivers are for major players, major winners, major power. All new ZX Mark II drivers, only from Srixon.
Yeah, Gabe, that's an excellent point. Reading that tour manual really answers a lot of questions more than just players coming back with more questions. It answers more than anything else. Because I'm dealing right now with something along the lines with what you said. You're a B flight player that just got moved to the A flight, and I've got had a conversation last night with somebody in the same position, and they can't figure out why their handicap hasn't changed, and they didn't quite understand how it's based on the indexes, best 8 of the last 16. They said, well, I've shot 3 rounds in the 90s. I said, but you have to look at which are any rounds coming off. Where do those rounds fall in those top 8? So, and that really does kind of explain. It's explained in the manual.
Yeah, and if I could just, as a person, and I always try to go to a personal experience. When I first started playing on the Golfweek Amateur Tour, the second event that I ever played, if I remember, second or third event that I ever played, back then I was shooting mid to upper 80s, low 90s all the time. I shot an 81 and got moved up, and it was like, man, this is not what I do. But especially for new players that are coming in to understand, hey, look, we're going to take those first few rounds, and those first few rounds are going to have way more of an impact. But the more you play and the more scores that we have to work with, the more it's going to level off, and guys are going to end up where they belong. And the sooner we can do that, the better for the players, as well as, the rest of the field that are, because our players watch, they pay attention to, hey, this guy's won 2 or 3 in a row. And, to be able to say, check out the tour manual, he's in the B flight, he's winning with a few 85. So it's not like he's coming out here shooting 75, 76 every week.
Right.
So pay attention, not just to the fact that he's winning, but what the scores are and how those come into play on the index.
Right. And that leads into the whole idea of slope and rating and how that plays into the indexes. It's it's not necessarily the score. It's what, it's what that index is. And I can't remember. I I can't remember the actual score, but it was a low, what seemed like a low sea flight score, but when you factored in the slope and rating, it was well within the that cutoff. So it kind of is what it is, and again, the more you understand, the more you read the manual, the more you'd understand what it is that we're trying to do.
Absolutely. All 80s are not the same.
Exactly.
For sure.
Exactly. And by the way, Chris, we're going to talk about your 80 here, after we get Gabe off the phone. I'm still a little upset with you about it. By the way, because Gabe, what ended up happening,
you and a handful of people.
I'm not going to, I don't want to get into it too much, but Chris sent me an email. He says, I've got a handicap issue in the sea flight. I pull him up and I'm looking at his score. Wait a second. What's the sea flight stuff? But Chris, we'll talk about that here in a little bit.
Yes, sir.
It's one of those things where, when you're pointing the finger, there's four others pointing back at you.
Hey, I had already knew it was coming. It's just a matter of when. But I didn't know you were an A-flight, Gabe, so congratulations on that, my friend. I guess I can't beat you this year at Jubak.
Oh, no. I'll be waiting for you. You're getting there. You keep putting those you keep putting those low scores up there. We'll be right in the same spot.
Well, Gabe, again, thanks so much for filling us in on the Stand Up to Cancer stuff, and I hope, and I'm fairly sure that our community, the Golfweek Amateur Tour community, is going to come through and help raise a lot of money for Stand Up to Cancer. So I appreciate it.
I appreciate the ability to kind of share that information with everybody through you guys. And anytime I can come on and help with anything you guys need, I'm happy to do it.
That sounds good, bud. Take care, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thank you.
Appreciate you, Gabe.
See you, my friend.
Man, it's always great to have Gabe on with us. He's kind of been the ambassador of Stand Up to Cancer for Golfweek, in my opinion. Always coming up with big numbers, big contributions to the cause. And last year, when he did the auction and he told me about it, I was excited for it. It was real cool. But now to be able to have all the tours, hopefully be able to contribute, it's just going to make Golfweek as a whole be a huge contributor to Stand Up to Cancer.
Yeah, he, like you said, he raised over $8,000 last year, and to me, it's not a competition. We treat it as a competition, but one year in DC, we raised over $10,000, but this was before COVID, and the way he's come on strong with it, he's doing a phenomenal job. And I think if you look at the tour as a whole, I think you'll see that we rally around a couple of things, and Stand Up to Cancer is one, because there's nobody on tour at all, whether you're a player, whether you're a tour director, doesn't really matter. Your life has been impacted by cancer, whether it's a family member, whether it's a close friend, it doesn't really matter. Everybody has been affected by this deadly disease. And that's something that, that we rally around. And I think we're all on the same page in raising money to help find a cure for it, and we treat it as a competition, but it's really not a competition, because we just want to find a cure and stop it.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you hit the nail on the head. That, I mean, even us as a tour directors, we've been impacted the last couple of years with some tour directors that have had cancer. So it is a big impact, and I think what we're able to do as a tour in general is great.
Yeah, absolutely. So hopefully that again we can rally around this, and tour directors, I'm sure will do what they can and get some packages together, and hopefully members across the country will all go in and bid on some of these items and raise some money, which I think is a great idea. There's going to be some great courses, some great packages to be able to go and play. So good on Gabe for putting this together.
What I would recommend, get you and 3 buddies, look at the packages and place a bid. And I mean, if you split that, whatever that package is, you guys win, you split that 4 ways. It's like a small golf trip for you guys.
Absolutely. Well, I mentioned a little bit, I am a little upset with you. Being on the handicap committee, you texted me a couple weeks ago that you got somebody in the C flight who you want me to look at, and I pull up the scores, and the first thing I see is not in the C flight. I see in the B flight just some guy named Chris. He's in the 70s. I think he ended up shooting what was 78.
That was the final score, 78.
Something like that, 78, and no mention of looking at Chris's score. What's the story with that?
Let me start off by saying this course we've never played. It's a new course we just added. Honestly, it's in a little town that you just drive by to get to Rio Doso. I didn't even know there was a course there, but one of my members recommended it, and I've found that when I play courses for the first time, I play 10 times better. I don't know if you're the same way, but I feel like when it's courses that I've played before, I'm trying to hit it to a certain spot. I'm trying to do this as opposed to just hit in the middle, hit on the green, and 2-putt. Didn't play a practice round here. I went in blind, and I felt like I played better. But yeah, I mean, once you said, look at the B flight, I was like, well, I mean, if it happens, it happens, I want to play the best I can, and believe me, I heard it during the awards. I heard all of it. But I will tell you this much: if I was trying to fluff the handicap, I wouldn't have birdied 18. So yeah, I mean, I'm happy with my score. I think my garage range that I built, my hitting bay, has been paying off, and we'll see where it goes from here.
Yeah, I'm really proud of you. Again, that's your best score ever in tournaments, and I was real happy to see it, especially as you mentioned, in the last episode, you built yourself a little hitting bay in your garage, and you take a few cuts every day, and you start working on things. Yeah. So I'm real glad that you saw some results so early. Again, that's so always happy when people shoot their best round ever. And really happy for you because you've been putting in the work, and you're setting some goals, and you're really seeing some of those results that you want to see. But good on you. I'm just giving you a hard time about the handicap. I give you a hard time when you shoot high. I give you a hard time when you shoot low. So it doesn't really matter. You're going to catch a hard time, no matter what. No matter what.
I mean, it was interesting because hitting off a mat is way different than hitting off turf. And I hadn't hit off turf in about 2 weeks because I took that time off, and we didn't have any events. So when I got there, we set up check-in right by the range, and I run, to the range real quick, get a couple balls between check-in, and everything was either chunk or scold. I mean, I couldn't even get a good shot out. So I was like, well, here we go. Just get through 18 holes. And started something clicked. I think I told Gabe it was an out-of-body experience. I didn't even realize what I was shooting until somebody mentioned, or I looked to see how everybody else was doing, trying to do my job, and realized, oh, wow, you have a chance to also be looked at. So it's a good feeling, I guess, for me, because it shows me that I'm doing better. I don't want to be stuck in B flight, 4, 5, 6 years. I kind of want to get better and get up there to those A's and champ flights.
Well, again, that's always the goal. At least, most people's goals is to get better and keep moving up. So, yep. You said you birdied 18. Did you win any money on skins?
I did win one skin. I believe one super skin, and that birdie cut 2 skins off. So kind of paid out even better.
Okay. That's all right. As long as you win a little bit of money, I guess that's really all that really matters anyway.
Right. Yeah. But enough about me. Let's talk about that member guest event you had. How'd that go?
Oh, it went really well. We ended up with 80 players, so sold the event out.
Nice.
It's the most we've ever had for a member guest. On top of that, we had actually 14 guests, which also was the most we've ever had. And we ended up converting 7 of those guests to becoming members, which again,
nice,
is the most we've ever converted. So really successful. The The member guest team that won was Joey Side. He was the member, and Casey Fields was his guest. And they finished, we did a modified Stableford using full handicap, and they were the only group, and they finished plus. They were the only group that finished plus, and they were plus 11. So they crushed it. Yeah, I think second place was -7 or -8, so it wasn't even close.
Jeez.
And Casey beat his handicap by a few, but it was really Joey that carried the day. He was, I think he was plus 12, just on his handicap.
Wow.
So yeah, he had a really good day.
What flight is Joey in?
A flight. They're actually both A flights. But
Okay.
Casey was, they said Casey's handicap was actually a 13, but he wanted to play in the A flight. So it's kind of a good thing that he did.
Right.
If we put him back in the C flight, based on his handicap, he may not have been DQ'd, but it would have been somebody that we actually looked at.
Right.
Because he still played well, especially from those distances.
Well, I mean, it shows that, even golfers can police themselves, and if they're playing good, hopefully they would let the tournament people know that they need to be in a different flight.
Exactly. So he won free membership, and
Okay.
then we got 6 others that paid right on the spot, and one of those 6 actually won the D flight, and his name is Nick Merklin.
Okay.
So he won and used his winnings to pay for membership, and still had money left over to go do whatever else he wanted to do with it. So it turned out to be a great day, all the way around.
That's cool. I mean, that shows that, these little events or these extra things that we do as a group can be fruitful. And I mean, converting 50% of your guests, you can't ask for anything better.
Yeah. So, but it's good. And we play again on the 20th, and then, we do another side type thing. It's this year, it's the first week of June. We do it. We call it Team Stableford. It's still the same. It's a regular event, individual stroke play. But what we do is we randomize the groups. So you could be in a group with A, B, C, or D players, champ A, B, C, or D players, and we do that just to kind of so you get to know other people in other flights.
Right.
Right. And that guys love that event. And so we'll do a Stableford for that as well. Again, totally a side type of thing. And, I manage all the scores on that. And there's a prize at the end for the winning group, and they'll also get trophies as well.
That's cool. I mean, we do something like that. We're also playing on the 20th, 21st in Rio Doce up in the mountains. Hopefully it'll be real nice and cool for us. But then we do a two-man scramble June 3rd, where we take 25% of the combined Golfweek handicap.
Okay.
And that's your team handicap for that round. And then you play from your respective tees, depending on what flight you're in. So
that's awesome. Yeah.
You don't have to be with somebody that's in the same flight. You can be with anybody and see who comes out. I mean, we've had guys, we had a father-son win. Son's A flight, father was C flight, and they've won. We've had a couple of champion C flighters win. So there's been a real good mix of winning groups.
That's awesome.
Yeah, hopefully I can pull that one off one of these days.
You got start putting the clubs in your kids' hands, have them swing. All you got to do is go right to the garage.
Right.
Well, we got an email from Roger right after the episode aired, and remember he made I wouldn't call it a mistake. I would say it's more of a maybe he misspoke, and
right.
I corrected that in last week's show notes. But next time we have him on, we'll let him clear everything up, and we're actually going to he's doing for next week or next episode. But we've got kind of a special episode coming up next time, and so we're going to move him back. So you want to tell our listeners what's going on? You want to kind of just let them know this will be a special episode they don't want to miss.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of want to keep the anticipation up. It's going to be an exciting episode. One of our first, special episode that you and me have done. And you don't want to miss out because it's going to be, I guess, groundbreaking for our podcast, at least.
Yeah. And I think, I really think our listeners are going to love it. And it's going to shed some light on, on us as a tour. And we talk about, stand up to cancer is one of the things we rally around. And this is kind of I would say the bedrock piece of the tour that we, as a tour, kind of embrace and rally around as well. So,
yeah, definitely, I would agree with that 100%.
All right, my friend. I hope you have a good tournament coming up. Hope you shoot in the 70s again, and I get your I get an email to say, look at your score. I know you're going to continue to do great, and for everybody else out there, please make sure you're checking not only your local tour schedule, but check the national schedule. If you're traveling, or if you don't have a tournament locally, there's plenty of tours out there that we're playing. Actually, there's a tournament every Saturday and Sunday from now until the middle to end of September. So please check that national schedule.
Yes, definitely.
All right, but take care, and we'll talk to you in a couple weeks.
All right, partner. Have a good one.
Bye. Bye-bye. Chris, we didn't do it again.
What didn't we do?
We didn't say how to join the tour.
That's right. It's simple. All you need to do is go to amateurgolftour.net, click the Join the Tour button, and pay your local tour's membership.
Thanks, Chris. Membership for 2024 is open, so register today to join the oldest, largest, and best amateur tour in the country.